Good morning, everyone. Jim Laird joining you from Grand Pacifica on this Christmas day. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. So it's great. We got breakfast here. So good stuff. Oh, life is good. Merry Christmas to you. I hope you're having a great time. Rommel's sitting here with me. Of course, the food is here, so he's here. Get some water. It is a beautiful day here in Nicaragua. I tell you, it's weird. This is my first Christmas in the tropics, and it's definitely different. But we just spent about an hour this morning on the beach playing catch, and Rommel's wore out, and happy to jump on a live here on Christmas. So thank you for watching. If you're watching the recording of this, we do live. I do lives every morning here at 9 a.m. Sometimes Dr. Stillman's on here. Sometimes Lauren's on here. Sometimes I have other guests. So if you're watching the recording of this, thank you so much on YouTube, and then also on our podcast on Spotify and all the other places. The topic that we're going to talk about today is actually from a coaching call I had yesterday about somebody who's very frustrated about where they're at. And there's a quote that Dr. Stillman always uses. He loves Hippocrates, and Hippocrates is like, illness does not come out of the blue. They are developed by small daily sins against nature. When enough sins have accumulated, illness will suddenly appear. And this really sums up modern life. We don't die from acute traumas anymore, but we do have this underlying sickness. The medical establishment is amazing. Like if you're in a car wreck, or if you need some sort of, you've got a chronic infection, we've got technologies that can really save your life, which 200 years ago, a lot of that stuff would have killed you. But the modern life is what's killing most people now, and people are dying of things like heart disease and cancer and autoimmune diseases. And it really starts, with, like it says, and you'll see in one of my theories on this is like why younger kids are getting sicker, getting autoimmune diseases at a younger and younger age. And it's just, they're just less resilient from the start, right? And then they aren't spending the time outside. They aren't spending the time in nature. They aren't spending the time playing outside. I mean, it was great. Yesterday, I was at one of the local restaurants here. There's a little restaurant right at the beginning of the property called Kelly's. It's great. And there were kids running around everywhere, barefoot, in the dirt, running around, playing on skateboards. There wasn't one kid on a screen, and they were climbing on things, like climbing up the trees, climbing on the refrigerators. I mean, I loved it. They were there, some of the parents local parents were a little frustrated, but I just laughed, and I actually got on my Google Translate, and I was like, why? The one lady was like, why are you laughing? And I was like, this is so great. I'm like, this does not happen in America. Everybody's on their phone. And she looked at me and she goes, yeah, she goes, she's like, that's really silly. So it's been great to see, all these little kids running around, having a good time, laughing, and just the attitude in general is just much more laid back and relaxed. There's no, in the US, there's this like chronic stress over everything. Like, the bills and the money and the the consumerism. Here, everything's just laid back. Everything's just like, we can do it tomorrow, which has some disadvantages as well. But I've noticed in general, since moving here, my overall stress levels are zero. Absolute zero. And so getting a routine and finding some balance is going to be important for me. But when I was talking to this gentleman yesterday, he was very frustrated, and he's like, well, what do I do? I've dug myself this hole. And I said, well, the way you dig yourself out of the hole is by doing the exact same thing you did to dig the hole, just doing the opposite. So you've done all these little habits, like, not getting outside every morning, being inside under fake lights all the time, drinking alcohol every day. So we need to basically reverse engineer what dug the hole, and we got to fill that dirt back in, and that just takes time. And the way you get out of these situations is you start with simple things like walking outside 3 times a day, switching to high quality water, cutting back on your alcohol consumption, doing the work, managing your stress so you don't need to medicate yourself with alcohol. That's something that most people don't. It's the same thing with exercise. Bill Hartman, one of my main mentors, always says you have a shoulder result, not a shoulder problem. A lot of guys that bench press really heavy because bench press takes a lot of compression, right? So you compress the thorax and you limit motion. And then eventually over time, you lose the ability to move that shoulder the way it needs to bench. And eventually the straight bar bench becomes the palms in neutral bench, and then the football bar bench eventually, because you compress your thorax so much to lift bigger and bigger weight. So if you're not doing anything to restore some of the movement of that thorax, you're going to lose range of motion of the shoulder, the elbow, all that good stuff. So that's a shoulder result. And the same thing with health. You're inside all the time, you don't go out in nature, if you don't manage stress over time, that stress bathtub is going to fill out. You do things to empty it. It's going to spill over into the kitchen and flood into the basement. And then you got a big problem. So I think a lot of people get overwhelmed, and what you got to do is you got to add little things in that counter that, that chronic stress, that modern life. As simple as going outside 3 times a day, going for walks, putting the tongue in the roof of your mouth, breathing through your nose. And I know I beat you over the head with this over and over again, but you've got to install things in your life that are going to, be a net positive for you. And you got to have more things that are net positive than net negative. And then making sure when you are in a bad place that you're not using things, like you'll have people that are highly stressed and then they'll use intense exercise to manage that stress. And that's okay for short periods of time, but it ends up digging the hole deeper. When you think about, if you're under a lot of stress, you should be thinking about things like float tank, restorative yoga, learning how to relax. These are all things that our modern world, just most people feel totally uncomfortable when they relax. And it's a skill. It took me a long time to learn how to actually relax and be calm. I felt very uncomfortable. It took me a long time to get that right. So just some quick thoughts here on this Christmas Day. I hope you enjoy celebrating the birth of Christ, because that is what Christmas is about. Whether you are Christian or not, that's traditionally what the holiday was celebrated. We've kind of manipulated it in several ways, which is fine. You can choose to celebrate Christmas any way you want to. That's the libertarian in me. And I hope you take the time to enjoy yourself. I did a video yesterday, 3 tips to get through the holiday season. Really simple. Don't go to a party hungry. Eat a protein. Like when you get to the party, eat shrimp cocktail, eat turkey, eat charcuterie boards, eat things like that. Things that are going to fill you up. They're going to shut your appetite off. And then if you do enjoy things like pumpkin pie, make sure you enjoy it. If you have an indulgence that you really enjoy, if you have a food sensitivity, you might need to bring some things with you, and that's totally fine. Or if you're one of these people that, like, there are people that, and I didn't talk about this yesterday, there are people that they have one drink and they go completely off the rails, or they have one, piece of pumpkin pie and they just turn into a vacuum cleaner. And if that's you, then maybe going off, having some indulgences might not be a good idea. But that's, everybody has to kind of figure it out for themselves and what works best for them. And then just go for a 10-minute, 15-minute walk after your meal. And it might be cold outside, and that's totally fine. Your body will get used to that cold. Got a little bug flying around here. Somebody asked me about the bugs here. Hey, buddy. I don't know if you can see the bug flying. There he is. The bugs are not terrible, but I did drop an almond on the floor last night. And I got up this morning, and there was like all these tiny little ants, like just like absolutely annihilating it. So you cannot like leave food laying around here. Things have got to be stored. Things have got to be kept clean, which is why I have a cleaning lady. You do not leave your clothes laying on the ground here. You can end up with scorpions hiding in their shoes and stuff. But other than that, the bugs haven't been bad. I've got a little bites here and there, but nothing crazy. The mosquitoes are actually way not as bad as they are in Canada in the summertime. Obviously, the Canadian mosquitoes are the worst I've ever seen. But I just kind of accepted the fact that I don't go trucking through the tall grass and things like that. I think that's like a really good way to just get eaten alive. But here on the beach where there's a breeze, it's actually, the bugs are not terrible at all. So it's actually been pretty good. So I am enjoying myself here for sure. And I'm going to have my breakfast of eggs, steak, pineapple, rice, and plantains the local girl that cooks for me, she brings a lot of stuff from their own garden, which is really, really neat. It's really exciting. So I'm going to sign off here and enjoy my breakfast. I hope you have a great Christmas with you and your family. I hope you have a good time. I hope you really enjoy yourself. Have an eggnog for me. I don't even think there's egg. I doubt you could. I don't even know if there's eggnog down here, but they do have really good rum here, but no eggnog. So have a great day. Merry Christmas to you. And remember, if you are in a bad place, just start with a few simple things and do them daily and be consistent so they become part of who you are. And that's going to be the key to getting yourself. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you as well. Marcella, I believe that's how you pronounce that. I hope I didn't butcher that. But Merry Christmas to you as well. Remember, little tiny things done daily can be either a net negative or a net positive. And so you got to have more things in your life that are net positive. And the more you can get out of nature, the more time you can spend in natural light, the better. Make sure you get on our email list. We're going to be running a special for New Year's on our Fundamentals of Wellness coaching program, mastermind group. We're going to be running a special on that. We're also going to be starting our weekly lessons up again. So go over to stillmanwellness.com and get on that email list. So, and Dr. Stillman will be down here with me in Nicaragua on the 6th of January. There's still time to get in on that. If you'd like, feel free to email me at jimlaird@stillmanmd.com, and we can talk to you about coming down here and hanging out with us for a week. So take care, everyone. Have a great day. Hope you have a wonderful day with your family. And I'm going to hang out with this tiny little honeybee right here that's hanging out with me. So take care.